Ever wonder what happens when you stop pretending and feel? I am Amanda Andrade, founder of Mastering Relationships Academy and author of If You Allow It, You Can Feel It. This is the Journey Unscripted podcast. Real conversations, unscripted moments, and the emotional truths that connect us all. On today's episode, meet Nick Halper. He is the author of Titling the Balance, speaker, and host of Life Well Balance podcast, where he is explored how to live with clarity, presence, and purpose. After chasing success the right way and ending up burning out and disconnected, Nick discovered that truth balance is not about doing it all. It is about doing what matters to the most with intention. Through his talks, writing, and conversations, he helps people breaking limiting belief systems, simplify life's complexity, and create sustainable rhythms across work, relationships, and well-being. Grounded and authentic, Nick shares both personal stories and practical tools to help others stop missing what matters most before it is gone. Thank you, Nick, for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited about it. It's
Yes, it's
strange being on this side.
it's been a very nice journey to share with you, which last week I was in your podcast, and this week you've been my podcast, and I can understand the real sense of being the other side, but it is, the sharing stories, the valuable conversation that we are just creating space for our audience, and but most for us with that intention, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, did I say your name correctly? Because you taught me that in that day. And whenever I saw the last name, I was like, how can you say for me now?
It's Nick Haup. It's always a tricky one.
How?
I was doing some stuff yesterday and they asked me the same thing. They're like, "Did we say that right? How do we say this?"
And what I love, what I just read it about your bio, it is he's grounded and authentic. And I can see the reason that we connected, which is authenticity. And whenever I was reading about your last name, I was like, oh man, I probably missed that. So now what is going to be? I was like, well, just be authentic.
Hey, I've been called worse.
Well, as long as we're just like clarify later and you're feeling okay with that, and I'm just being honest as right now, it's like, oh, did I miss it there? But all good and all of that. And yes, I found so much excitement to meet you and to have this connection, because in that moment we had so much to share. We had so much on the commonality in our journey in some aspects, and now having this opportunity to share with our audience. I would like to ask you about first your podcast that you've been in that journey, but before that, it's just you mentioned about life balance. It is not doing at all at the same time, but doing what most it's important to the most. Or can you just explore more about that? How was it for you, and when did you realize that?
Yeah. So what it really comes down to is we're also busy. And we think that in order to gain some more balance and clarity in our life, we need to add to what we're doing to achieve something, when it really comes down to subtracting what's not important. And when it comes to life balance, what it is what I do in my book Tilting the Balance is we break your life down into 10 categories. And we talk about your business and your finances and your hobbies and passions and interests, your romantic relationships, all these different categories. And what we do, I say we, I have a good friend of mine who's a co-author, Justin Bullock, and we talk about how all of these different categories need to be compartmentalized, but then we also talk about how they all flow together. Because when you're having issues with your business, it's going to affect your romantic relationship. When you're having challenges in your romantic relationship, it's going to affect your family and friends relationships. When you're having challenges in your family and friend relationships, it's going to affect what you do for fun. And the cycle goes on. So, what we want to talk about when it comes to balance is you're never going to be completely in balance because life is always going to happen. There's always going to be things that happen that are unforeseen and different situations that you end up in. So, what you need to do is tilt the balance and focus on that area of life of which what's most important in the season that you're in. Because right now, for me, with having a 2 year old, my balance had shifted completely from, say, going on vacations and stuff. My wife and I used to take trips every quarter. Now we're taking trips about once a year because we have our 2 year old and we have different things we have to do. And then we also have our 16-year-old who is in school and she only has breaks every so often. So we have to tilt that and change what we're focusing on, right? So that's what it comes down to is it's not about adding on and doing everything and trying to get completely in balance. What it's about is tilting that and focusing on what's the most important in the moment that you're in.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And it really makes the dynamic of flowing with life. And for those people that are listening to us, what was the most challenge part of your life of acknowledging this and really letting go? The controlling, the attachment that you probably were interfaced with. How was it for you to acknowledge and letting go?
I think acknowledgement is a hard thing to let happen sometimes, depending on the lifestyle that you have and everything too. And for me, just to share a little bit of my journey was I had a very toxic relationship with alcohol. And so that's a big part of my
Mhm.
story now is acknowledging that that was an issue years ago. And then once you acknowledge that, then it allows you to step into fully embracing creating some change in your life. And so for me, a big point that made me realize what was important and what I needed to focus on was my wife getting pregnant and us having a baby. That changed everything. And so I would say that was the biggest thing that came to my attention of needing to make a lifestyle change.
Beautiful, beautiful. And in that moment that you make that decision, did you have emotional support around of you? Your how was that emotional part for you? Because making the decision, it's one thing. And now how it is to deal with that decision emotionally.
Yeah, my wife was a major part with all of that. And I've been so blessed to have wonderful friends and an amazing family that has always been there to support me in everything that I've done, and especially transitioning into a better kind of lifestyle. But my family growing up, we've always been emotionally available for one another. I mean, you briefly met my grandparents here in the studio, and I'm sure you can tell that we're all very close. We all talk about everything. We don't really hide anything. So having that emotional support, I think, is a major part, and having accountability in general is a major part of creating any change in your life. And we, in Tilting the Balance, we have a whole chapter on accountability, and not just for yourself, but with someone else, with an accountability partner. So I think that anytime you're looking to make a dramatic change in your life, you need someone that's there to support you, whether it's physically, whether it's mentally, whether it's emotionally. I think you always have to have that support and that safety net, or someone to that you can talk to, because statistically shown, it's you have a much higher rate of success when you are utilizing accountability as when you're not. So I think that having that, and then also there's also studies out there now that talks about the energy release that you have when you do let things go and share your feelings and your emotions with other people, just to let it out. And I'm not talking about just dumping all of your toxic stuff onto people, but being able to release those emotions and that energy inside of you. uh, you're able to do a little better.
Yeah, absolutely. Having the accountability part of our journey, our personal growth, it really make difference because it's really like empowering yourself from that situation and take responsibilities for what it is, and how can we just shift that dynamic, and having like family support, emotional support, it is really a big deal for us that it's going through in a certainly moment and challenge of our life, because it's really helps for us to keep moving towards to our goal, or um, what we are committed with. And yes, I had the opportunity to meet your grandparents, which was lovely, and I couldn't feel that you had that support from them. And I'm very grateful for that, because it's whenever we don't have that emotional support, it is even more challenge in a way, until you find accountability, until you find your core and you've been solid. And whenever we can have the family support, that change everything in our life. Yes, I think it is phenomenal, Nick, for you to have the emotional support that you had it from your family, because it really what matters most. Having emotional, the family support, and especially your wife, because she's beside of you. And just like you mentioned, one aspect of our life, it's affected. The entire other areas is going to be affected as well. And whenever we can have that person beside of us holding a space for us to keeping exploring and breaking through, I do believe that we are just experience what we need to experience through accountability to keeping achieving success and really flowing with what it is. And talking about accountability, how does that looks like to be in a safe space for you? Because whenever we are going through in these moments in our life, what our inner child requests to the most is that safe space. So how does that looks like for you to be in that safe space for you to flourish and keep thriving in your life?
Yeah, I think you need to be really particular on the accountability that you have with others. I think you need to really pick and choose who is in your circle for that accountability, because sometimes it can backfire and you can get people that you share very personal things with, and you are very open, and they hold it against you after you share that, and things of that nature too. So you have to be really
trusting in who you're bringing on as an accountability partner. And then with accountability for yourself, you have to understand that we're all works in progress, so you can't beat yourself up too much. You can't put yourself down if you fall short, if you are in the process of working toward something and you slip off. Don't beat yourself up because it's it's just all part of life. It's a process that we're going through, and none of us are perfect.
Yes, I hear you saying that none of us is perfect, are perfect, and I totally agree. And giving ourself compassion, giving ourselves that space to really embrace what we're going through, and just say it is okay to feel the way that you are feeling today, but tomorrow is going to be a new day, but today I'm over here for you. And I can agree with you, looking for the person that is going to be the accountability that you're going to share the story with, because what they don't understand also that you've been through in a transformation in your life, so they also have that prejudgment about who you were. They are not having the vision about who you are becoming. So that is the reason that they try to attack us, because they don't know any better. They are just doing what they know with the given resource. And whenever we start to moving forward and just detached from those old networking and beliefs in dynamic that is not like in match with who we are becoming, it really takes the conscious decision of doing that and really embrace that space, like, okay, this is was who I was. It now I am not like that anymore. I am just stepping to the best version of myself, and what it takes for me to let that go and really keep moving forward. It's a form of like holding space, a safe space for yourself, your inner child, so this way you can keep thriving and keep moving forward. And I also remember whenever you were mentioned with me about being burning out, about being disconnected, whenever you were doing things. Could you just share with us how was it that time for you that you had that experience, and when you have the aha realization that is just like not doing, but doing what mattered most with intention, please?
Yeah, I had an I had one aha moment with you actually because you said something that I really liked about life being a dance, and a dance between getting things done and letting go. And you said it a lot better than I just did, but I I think that everyone is so wrapped in we have to work and work and work and work hard to get to where we want to go. But at the same time, it's like perfect example when you're driving down the street and you're in a hurry and there's a slow car in front of you and you're driving up and you're jumping over, weaving around them, driving frantically, and you're anxious about getting to where you're going. And then a few minutes later, you stop at a stoplight, and that car that you were so busy getting around pulled up right next to you at the same stoplight. I think life's a lot like that, where we have to let go a little bit and just go with the flow of life because we get in our own ways more than anything. And if we're just so focused on outcomes and the busyness, then we're just going to stay busy because you can run on a treadmill all day and get nowhere. What you need to do is be productive. And so when you let go and you take some of those items off of your plate and you kind of let life flow and you experience the moments, a lot of the time things just take care of themselves. Now, I'm not just saying don't put in work and don't strive to accomplish anything, but there is a good balance between the two of putting in work, but then also noticing the flow of life and letting it happen. Because there's so much of our past where we didn't want something to happen or we wanted something to happen and we worked so hard to make it happen or make it not happen. And bad stuff happens, and then you look years later down the road and you realize that was actually a good thing because it brought you to a different moment. It had you meet a different person. It had you experience a different experience, and you had nothing to do with it. So I think we need to kind of take notice of those moments that could end up being a change in our life or a person or an experience that moves us to a new level without us even knowing.
You just explain everything that come from that phrase that I've been embodying in my journey, which is exactly that. Life is it's a dance between letting it happen and making it happen. But and then I was not there until I allowed that happen, because I was just in my own way, in many different ways. And one of them was controlling the outcomes, because the belief system that I had in the past was I need to feel safe. And how do I make myself feel safe? Controlling things. If I controlling the situation, I will have the outcome that I am expecting to have. If I'm controlling this, I will have that. And it was unconscious patterns, because in my childhood I did not feel safe in my own body. And the way that my inner child found to find safety, it's controlling. But the truth is, we don't have control of life at all, because not having control of life, it's the ego perception of the idea that I can control. So that we don't have control. But and then when you just shift that mentality of controlling to trust that is a higher power in there, trusting that is a path, a divine way for you to fall, things will unfolding. And you don't need to hold on that perception about controlling. You're gonna have the outcomes that you were imagine, that you were judging that you're going to have. And so from that dynamic in my past, I had a lot of frustration, because I also did not know that not controlling it was going to give me what I just need to allow to happen. But we just acknowledge those patterns whenever we are out of them. And then that's when you see, and that's when you just like, okay, this is not a safe space at all, because that was coming from your belief system, your identity, your mind identifying with the perceptions that you have in your childhood. And once I just understood that intellectually, but and then I embody that in my being, because what safe space means to me, it's being safe in my body. And for the people, like we're just talking, for everybody's going to be in a different way. For you, safetiness is different. Then it's different for your wife, and it's different for everybody else. But and then we experience life in a way that has this kind of dynamic of like outcomes, success, and the same for me, disconnection. We disconnect from who you are, like our being, our divine sense. And because we are just in the autopilot of doing, and we don't stop just to connect with the core of who we are. And in that dynamic of just doing, we start suppressing, we start repressing those uncomfortable feelings. And I do believe whenever you just share with us about the relationship that you have with alcohol, that was kind of in that moment of like suppressing something that you did not know that was in there because you did not have that awareness. And because you did not have that awareness, that's why you just get in that flow. But once you shift that you make the decision of it, things start to unfold, and you've been experienced life in the way that you do. So that is very important for me, and that's why I shared that with you that day, and I'm sharing now, and I'm glad that you brought that back. It is really like allowing it happening in making it happen, just like you say. It's not that we're not doing anything, just like being lazy. Oh, I'm gonna be in the couch today, I'm not gonna be doing anything. It's really like doing what it's in front of us with our best ability and giving to God, because once we give into God, His know how that will happen, and we don't need to worry about the how. We just need to be in the present moment, connected with source. And once we are connected, we just allow that to flow. So I'm very grateful that with our sharing, we got insight from each other. And one of the insights that I got from you was exactly about when I'm going to be launching my podcast. And then you already having that flowing and the pressure of, oh, I need to do this. And that is when you brought it up about your book. And I would like to know more about it. What made you started to write that book, and how has been the journey for you? And then you mentioned that you had a co-author. How both of you guys come together and you start to writing this beautiful book?
Yeah, so that started, it was my co-author's idea, and it's almost 6 years in the making, and it's a full-on workbook, spiral bind, you write in it, there's templates, and he called me because he had an idea about doing a 30-day challenge together and then writing a book about it. Because we both have read hundreds of personal growth books and we've gotten enough knowledge, but we didn't get enough change. And we think there's a disconnect in the personal growth world because there's so much information out there, but there's not the proper techniques and there's not a map. And I'm not saying do this and you'll have this, because it is individualized by everyone, but it's all these aspects of life. But what we wanted to bring to the table was something very digestible for people, and then something that they can take action right away and start seeing some changes. And for example, one of our 10 categories is personal tasks, and it's the first one. And that's because we want people to win small in the beginning to start believing that they can do it. Because once we start believing something, whether it's a small thing or a big thing, it'll take hold and then we'll start doing more of it. So, like the book Make Your Bed. When you make your bed in the beginning of the day, you start your day by accomplishing something. And so that's kind of what we went about with the book, is starting small and then going into these big changes. And when it comes to writing a book with someone, there's challenges and there's different things that happen because you have two different people with two different ideas and two different experiences and two different goals, and you have to just be on the same page as much as you can. But it's also a journey. When you go through life writing a book with someone over almost 6 years, there's ups, there's downs, there's battles, there's triumphs, there's anything you can imagine. But I can tell you that with my co-author Justin and I, our relationship is better than it was in the beginning. And that's because we've had big blowouts, but it helped us fully understand each other. It helped us understand ourselves better. It helped us understand attachments. It helped us understand what kind of goals each of us had, whether one was financial and one was freedom, because those are two different things. They kind of go with each other too. If you can get the right financial resources, it can bring you some freedom. And it's just a flow and an understanding, and it's really it's kind of like a marriage when you work on a project like that with someone, or you join a business with someone for a long time, and it's something about changing your life and could possibly change the trajectory of your future. I don't know if I answered your question there.
You did answer, and actually you got me some insights as well, right? Because it's really in a relationship with somebody, right? And then with a different perspective and purpose. And I thought it was beautiful to listen to your journey with him, because it really bring us the growth. And the interesting part, it was just like you read that thousand book, he read that thousand book, but and then you both come along together to just have this born book to help other people that it's being in the same challenge. But and then in that path, you both are applying the knowledges that you both learning separated and coming along together. And it's just having this beautiful connection, because all of the relationship, it's about that. It's not, it's going to be like a roller coaster, I would say, having like the ups and downs. But as long as we've been honest with our truth, and we connect with that truth, and we communicate that with others, it is the beautiful thing about relationships, at least for me, because it's really like giving you the opportunity to see yourself in the other person, because we got triggered a lot with our relationships, especially like business partner or wife or friends, or just like co-author, just like in your case. How was it for you in that moment that you got triggered from a certain experience, and you just like look at that, and how was it for you? How did you integrate it, that transformation in being that relationship? Does that make sense for you? Like you see yourself, you got triggered, and we don't project that in the other person, because we see that is something that we need to work it on it. How was it for you that moment?
It was a process. I mean, it's always a process when you're going through any kind of growth, but there's been anger, there's been frustration, there's been sadness and happiness. And I think that understanding and accepting your part of the situation too, I think that's a big part of it. It's not just everyone else. You're not a victim. It's you play a role in any partnership as well, no matter what it is. And one thing I want to share too that has helped me, and I share it with a lot of people, is anything that you're going through with someone else, any kind of struggle or challenge, we all take it so personal, and it's not. It really, what it is the experience that that other person has had and the experiences that you have had. It's the years of these certain experiences that bring that other person to have these beliefs that they have, to where they feel something needs to be a certain way. And then you have the same thing as well. So we think that it's so personal when people are angry with us or frustrated, and it's really not. It's just a part of the belief system that we have built over the years of our experiences.
Totally agree with you. It's the beauty of like personal growth. It's when we can just dissociate our belief systems and stop projecting, and really come to the place like it's not about them, it's about me. So, and accepting, it's huge part of the process, because we don't want to accept that we have that, or that we need to let it go, because the ego is just like, oh, this is my identity, I'm not letting go, this is what I believe for my entire life. And now you are witness like, no, this is something unhealthy, I would like to not be with this behavior. and now sitting with that uncomfortable emotion and integrating and letting go, it is a process. I totally agree with you. And in that process of like growing, accepting yourself and letting go, how has been that intimate relationship with you?
I mean, it's always a challenge.
When it comes to the ego and everything, when you're going through stuff,
um, yes, Nick, I would like to ask you, how has been the intimate relationship with yourself since that you've been doing all of this work?
Well, I mean, I think that as you do the work over the years and everything, your relationship with yourself changes more and more. The more you discover about yourself, the more you forgive yourself, the more you better understand yourself. And I think that you do get a little more intimate with you because you fully start to understand who you are and who you're becoming. So I think that when when you start letting go and you accept the fact that you are always working on yourself and you are always a work in progress, you're able to open your heart more to yourself and beat yourself up less during the process because, as I said before, we're always working to do better. We're always going to require work on ourselves no matter what. It's not, you don't get to a place where you made it. As long as you're here on this earth, there's room for growth.
Beautiful, beautiful, and well said. It's really like intimacy, and people sometimes got confused about intimacy, thinking it's just like, oh, it's a physical intimacy or just comes from like a romantic relationship. And real intimacy, it's self intimacy. It's really holding the exactly what you just say, the space for your growth. It's forgiving yourself. It's accepting who you are. It's seeing you fully and freely. It's listen to your desires, listen to your needs, and be present for your needs. And we are talking about needs, it's just the inner child needs. Yes, we are having adult life, we are striving for success, we are just striving to have a better relationship, we are striving to financially, we are thriving in all aspects of our life. But it's really thriving with that intimate relationship with our inner child, because it's still in there. And whenever you mention about it's opening your heart and you connecting with others, that's exactly, we all look to connect with others. And it's just like the child wants to connect with all of the friends, wants to play, wants to experience life, wants to explore life, being curious about. And whenever that those needs were not met in the childhood, become that process of like reconnecting with the inner child, being present, being open, and exploring life. And things will unfold in our journey as we keep trusting and we keeping showing up for that beautiful boy or beautiful girl that is just seeking for love. And in our adulthood, that love comes in form of success, comes in form of peace, recognition, and it's going to have a multifaceted way to show up, because it's their thriving, it's their um seeking for it, it's the driving for it. And I can see whenever you shift your mentality to doing, not doing everything all, but doing what matters to most with intention. It really puts the intention behind why I'm doing this. What and why, for who, what is the importance behind of this. At least that's how I see, right? And whenever you mention about intention, it's about like, for me, and I'm not sure if it is the same with you, so please just let me know after, right? So it's just being with the intention of being present, and the reason that we're doing that, the purpose, which you just mentioned about that too, because whenever we are burned out and we are disconnected, we don't have purpose in life. We are not in the path of being full satisfied, fully joyful with life, and really experience love in a way, because we are disconnected. We close our heart, and then we're just in autopilot, survival mode. I need to survive, not really thriving. And once you shift that and you put the intentionality behind throughout those years, like 6 years that you've been writing the book, and you putting everything there, not only putting everything there, but you experience everything in that journey with your co-author, and experience that journey with your relationship with your wife, experience that journey in your work, because like we say at the beginning of the podcast, everything's connected. Because if you are not having tension with your relationship with your spouse, you're not going to have intention in the work, and vice versa. So it really shifts the core of your being. And whenever you shift that core, I also think that you shift that masculine energy of doing, and connecting more with your feminine energy, being more intentional and being more present and allowing that to happen. Saying that, how has been that relationship with your feminine energy, meaning like your being? Can you explore more? And that can be connected with intention, I think.
Yeah, there's a good book, The Power of Intention, that I highly recommend people to read. And I once I really understood intention and started leading with intention, my wife was actually the one that really brought that word to my attention to make me look more into it. And when it comes to feminine energy, we have a lot of that. I'm a girl dad of three, so my dog's a female, my cat's a female, so there's plenty
Oh.
of the feminine energy going around. But when when you're going throughout your day fully living intentionally, if you're burnt out, you're not going to have intention, and you need to be more than do, if that makes sense. And
Mhm.
I've noticed with just setting intentions, you don't even have to, if you don't even do it every day, just setting the intention of every day I'm going to come out of my house intentionally being nice to people, intentionally giving a piece of myself to create a positive impact to anyone I come across today. When you set those intentions, then throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your year, everything will start to flow more. Because if you don't have the intentions set, then you're kind of just a ping pong ball in the ocean.
I love that about what you just say. It's intention. It's what lies the purpose of life. It's being intentional with who you are, being intentional with yourself and others around of you. So thank you so much for sharing that with us in the book. And as we are coming to the end of our podcast, and we are talking about intention, and I'm very grateful that you just talk about your book, and I cannot wait to have this in my hands and just to share all of my growth and process with you after reading and after just doing the exercise as well. And I would like now to ask you, and we've been talking about the intention, what would be one intention, phrase, or word that you would like to share now with our audience? And that is going to be with everybody, like around of the world in the cell phone. Everybody's gonna receive that message. What it is your intention in that message?
Hmm. I would say kindness. Just intentionally being kind to everyone you come across.
Mm, beautiful.
I think
That's yeah.
I think that if we lead with kindness and an open heart, then the world will unfold in a very beautiful way.
Nice, nice. Thank you. And Nick, for who is listening to us, where can they find you in like in the links? Can you share your links with us, please?
Yeah, yeah. So on Instagram, it's at Nick Haupt, NickHoupt, one word. Facebook is the same, Nick Haupt, NickHoupt. And then if you want to visit my website, it is nickhaupt.com. And then with the book too, it is tiltingthebalance.com.
Beautiful. Once and again, thank you so much for being here with us. And I will attach the links on our description. And I'm looking forward to it to meet you again.
Yeah. Oh, and the podcast is Life Well Balanced Podcast. So if you
Yes.
Google that, make sure you have the word podcast on there, you'll find it. And it's also the Instagram is Life Well Balanced Podcast.
Yes, please go over there and check it out because he has very great contents over there and guesses as well. So this way you can add even more to your journey. And as right now, I'm so grateful that you're here with us, listen to this, and I honor your energy and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.